Welcome back to part 10 of how to play Warhammer 40k 9th edition, the morale phase. In the last video we went over how units are activated in the fight phase. This video will cover the interactions of the morale phase. The morale phase is broken down into two steps. Morale tests, where players take morale tests for units. Then, once all morale tests are complete, players check and remove models from units which are in breach of unit coherency. The morale phase starts with the morale tests step. Starting with the player whose turn is active, players alternate selecting a unit that has had models destroyed this turn and taking a morale test for it. This is done until all units which have had models destroyed have taken morale tests. If no units on the battlefield need to take a morale test, proceed to the unit coherency checks step of the morale phase. Morale tests are taken by the result of a d6 combined with the number of models that have been destroyed this turn. If the result is not greater than the highest leadership characteristic, or if the dice roll is a natural 1, then the test is passed and nothing else happens. Assuming 3 intercessors were destroyed, we can add 3 to the result of our d6, meaning that only if I roll a 6 would the morale test exceed the leadership of this intercessor squad. But in this case, it auto-passes because of the result of an unmodified 1. If this test was failed, one model immediately flees, your choice, and then combat attrition tests must be taken for the remaining models in the unit. Combat attrition tests are rolled by a single d6 for each remaining model in the unit. On a result of 1, one additional model, your choice, flees the unit. And referring all the way back to part 1, where units were classified at full strength or below half strength, if the unit is below half strength when taking a combat attrition test, subtract 1 from the roll, resulting in 1s and 2s causing additional models to flee. In this case, 6 models remain of 10, so this unit is not below half strength, so only on 1s will more models flee. Any models which flee count as having been destroyed, but don't trigger any rules that are used when a model is destroyed. And the player whose models are taking either the combat attrition or morale tests gets to determine which models flee. As you can see, having models flee from morale can be potentially devastating, and it may be worth consideration of the final core stratagem, Insane Bravery. For 2 command points, used only once per game before a unit takes a morale test, the morale test is automatically passed, which is great for linchpin units where morale casualties are all but guaranteed. Once all the required morale tests have been taken, the unit coherency check step of the morale phase takes place. In this final step, both players remove models one at a time from units in their armies that are in breach of unit coherency, as defined in part 1. Let's say this unit of demonettes were fired upon in the previous shooting phase. The destroyed models were removed from the middle, creating this coherency break. Although each model is within 2 inches of at least 2 other models, they are not a single unified unit. Because of this breach in unit coherency, models need to be removed one at a time until it achieves a state of coherency. Like with models that flee, models removed in this step count as having been destroyed, but do not trigger rules that are used when a model is destroyed. Once all coherency checks are finished, the active player's turn is complete, and the active turn ticks over to the other player, returning to their command phase. Well, that was quite the adventure. We have covered the core rules primer, which established critical turns, how to execute battle rounds, as well as what I qualify as the supporting pillars of 9th edition's game design in command points, core stratagems, and strategic reserves. I've been working on this series for the past few weeks, since the core rules primer was released, and it's been a massive undertaking as a one-man team. So I truly hope that it offered a helpful breakdown of the core game mechanics, and that it was enjoyed. If you want to support this channel, consider liking and subscribing. I create content around all areas of Warhammer 40k, some more on crunch and others much fluffier. In the future I plan to create some narrative campaign-based content that I am rather excited for, but it's going to take some time to get a full grasp of how the new edition is going to impact its execution. But I digress. Thanks again for watching, and may you find glory in the countless battlefields of 9th edition.